love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is on assignment. Somehow he has gotten another assignment in Brazil. I'm still trying to figure this out and how I keep getting left off the manifesto in terms of the pilot and the boarding list. We need to go back and renegotiate our brotherhood, friendship, whatever you want to call it, with Mike Washington. So I know he's out there listening. A little hard to get in from there. He might sneak in here, so you got to watch him if he's too busy on the beach somewhere. That being said, welcome to episode 749 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live. KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring on Charles Bishop and AD Drew, as they'll help me drive the ship today to give you a full show. We have a national champion to announce today in terms of the mid-major poll. We will focus on that early, but
introducing the chairs
of the week is the big game, the SWAC Football Championship 2025. So we'll be interested as we get in the second half. We'll take a little dive for that. Check us out on Thursdays. We plan to have a big show. We'll bring in a couple of former SWAC coaches. We'll bring in a championship quarterback or two. So we'll see what we can get done and look forward to Thursday. But today is time to get it on today. With that being said, Charles Bishop, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. I mean, it's championship week. I mean, looking forward to getting over to Jackson later on this week for the SWAC championship game. But, man, it's going to be really good. I think the SWAC championship game has quite a lot of buzz because both teams are so evenly matched. So it's going to be very interesting.
Charles, since the teams are evenly matched and, you know, we go back not only as business partners but friends now, brotherhood and as well. And you even allowed me to jump the tank, go in the transfer portal, become a Jackson State fan, you know, for weekend championships. So I got a little feeling for this. I know what it is to win the championship. I had one way back 2009, but I forgot. It was so long. I forgot, to be honest with you. But on the cusp of it, so I don't know, are we still allowed to be friends? You know, how does this work in the fandom world? You know, as you go up the escalator? Okay, yeah, I was just checking. I didn't want to be out of hand and not do what I'm supposed to do because I hear some folks out there, social media world, they getting a little, you know, getting it on, which I'm a lazy friend, but I'm just making sure that the rules will allow me to get back in the transfer portal, you know, get my Prairie View fandom on. I snug it on Sunday, but I'm neutral business. In fact, I got a little TSU, make sure there ain't no problem. But I see you decided to get on your Jackson State stuff, so I had to make sure.
You know, it's championship week. It's like being a Neo. I just put on all Perry.
Head to toe. I like this. So it sounds like you're doing really well. This is a big week here at Texas Southern University. I'd be remiss. Finals week this week. This year is a little different. Usually after Thanksgiving, we have 2 weeks, which allows us to do, you know, celebrate faculty, end of the year, things of that nature, and then get into the the following week, final exam, and graduation. This year, we put it all together. We got faculty week, department celebration, Christmas, Thanksgiving, almost all together, as well as graduation on Friday. And then, oh, by the way, we got a championship game to take place and a playoff game in terms of regional finals. So a lot of big stuff going on, real life, whether that is academically or athletically. But that being said, our mid-major guru of our show is none other than AD Drew. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm fine. I'm just trying to be like Charles Bishop, man. My idol
Thank you, Mr.
here,
Grant.
Charles Bishop.
We will open it up for questions, and let me start by introducing the chairs, as Mr. Grant had alluded to.
Surprised him a little bit there.
And while we have every right to be excited about the football game, and hopefully that you guys at about 4 o'clock on Saturday will still be cigar buddy. But only one of you all like Saturday. The other one will have to hold the lighter. The other one will have to hold the lighter for the victor. Yeah. But you know how that goes. I'm just excited about that event that I just saw Charles on the Band of the Year coming up next week, Dr. Cavil. Everybody got their football teams that we're supposed to be that you're rooting for. We're down to 3 major teams, 1 mid-major team, but we still got 4 bands out there that's battling Dr. Cavil. So I just want to make sure that we keep everything into perspective and give Miles, Fayetteville State, Southern, and my beloved Florida A&M some love too.
That's a good point. And when you think about some of those programs having a down football season, this is a way for fans to still be excited because they have a championship on the line. In this case, it just happens to be on the marching sports side, and we know how much important that is to the HBCU sports culture. So fascinating. I guess we're going to have to add that. We have the old saying that you want to start in Atlanta, end in Atlanta. Now we're going to have to think about the fact that some people want to do it trifecta. We want to start in Atlanta, end in Atlanta, both in terms of championships on the marching sports side as well on the football side. So it'll be fascinating to see can we get somebody to do the dual factor, start, finish, then can we get somebody to do it the trifecta?
Wow.
Well, we have had our second consecutive band that started in Atlanta and finished in Atlanta.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, the Marching 100 started in Atlanta with the BX Swag Challenge, ended with the Band of the Year. Now this year, the Human Jukebox started in Atlanta with the BX Swag Challenge and will end with the Band of the Year.
Good one. I like it. Great points. Great points.
Really exciting to see what a Band of the Year is with the trajectory of it. This is going to be a lot of fun watching it grow from year to year to year.
Talking about folks in championship, we do have the first round of the NCAA tournament. Florida A&M will represent the SWAC, and they will face off against the top seed, a former champion over a couple of years ago, and that is Texas. You know anything about the NCAA tournament for volleyball? The first round of games are played on campus, so the volleyball tournament will be played in Austin as the Florida A&M Rattlers travel for their first match Friday, December 5th at 7 o'clock. And then we have, on the MEAC side of things, we have Coppin State Volleyball to face the number 2 seed, Arizona State, in the first round tournament, as that game will be in Tempe, Arizona, to play number 2 Arizona State in the first round. That game is scheduled for Thursday, December 4th at 9 p.m. That's Eastern, so that is 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And while the first one I said was 7 o'clock, that is 7 o'clock Central, so 8 o'clock Eastern if you want to catch those games. That being said, let me go to Charles and see what direction he wants to go in terms of HBCU news of the day.
Well, big news coming out of Baton Rouge on yesterday as Marshall Faulk. He was named the 22nd head coach of the Southern Jaguars, where he joins the Southern program after previously being on the staff at Colorado. Of course, Marshall Faulk, tremendous accolades, three-time first-team All-American, fifth player in NCAA history to record back-to-back rushing titles, two-time unanimous All-American 1992, 1993, three-time Heisman Trophy finalist, of course, a stellar career in the pros in terms of 2000 MVP, 7 Pro Bowls, but now he takes the helm of this Southern football team, this proud fan base. So it'll be very interesting to see, what this team kind of evolves into and how they get this program back on the right ship.
Good stuff. Great points. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Seems like a lot of excitement. It was unique to see some Southern legends there support. One football teammate, Hall of Famer in itself, Aeneas Williams, and then you have Hall of Famer on the other side in terms of basketball, NBA, legendary players of Southern's years there to support this opportunity. So that's a good first step to me, seeing folks seeking to get people on the same page on board. We'll see what that looks like as things move forward. With that being said, let me go to you, AD. What's on your mind?
Well, the SWAC announced their postseason awards on yesterday, and the all-conference teams were voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information director to be considered for postseason award. A student athlete must have participated in a minimum of 50% of team games played this season. While we can go through the full list of first team and second teamers, let's get to the main awards. Head Coach of the Year, Tremaine Jackson, Prairie View A&M. Offensive Player of the Year, Andrew Body, Alabama State. Defensive Player of the Year, Quincy Ivory, Jackson State. Newcomer of the Year, Quincy Ivory, Jackson State. Freshman of the Year, Chase Bingman, Prairie View A&M. So congratulations to all those. If you want to get the see the full selections, first teamers and second teamers, you can log on to SWAC.org for that particular information, Dr. Cavil. So
good stuff. Congratulations to those Player of the Years. Interesting when you think about that. Obviously, a lot of folks said Body would get it. Some people were wavering in terms of not finishing it. The other side was on the defensive side. I think they made a mistake, but a lot of folks thought it would be 2 for 2, and it looks like they went 1 for 2, particularly after the win by Southern in the Bayou Classic. I thought that may have sealed the deal in terms of what
Kelby Givens. Yeah.
Not the argument that obviously Jackson State, stellar year, stellar numbers, but fascinating to see how they played out on one side and not necessarily on the other.
Yeah. I think Kelby, although he did have an outstanding season, he would have almost had to have an Andre Dawson-like season in 1987 for the Cubs in order for him to come with that Defensive Player of the Year on one of the worst teams in the SWAC this year. While his numbers were good, they weren't so far off the board. And people who may not be old enough to remember, Andre Dawson played on the last place Cubs team, but his numbers were so far off the board with 49 home runs that year. I don't remember the RBIs, batted over 300, where they had to give him, and I think right now he's the only person who ever win the MVP in baseball on the last place team. So.
Yeah, it certainly is. And a great point when you make that, because Alabama State did have a stellar year in terms of how they finished. So great point there made. Let me go back to you, Charles. What else is on your mind?
Yeah, well, we mentioned the first teamers and the second teamers, but let me just really quickly go through all SWAC first team. Offense, of course, was Andrew Body, a quarterback. The running backs are Ahmad Miller from Jackson State and Jalen Jennings from Arkansas Pine Bluff. The offensive lineman from Alabama State, Cameron Smith. From Jackson State, DeAndre Towns Blue. From Alabama State, Elijah Baker. From Jackson State, Brian Williams Jr. And Calvin McMillan round out the offensive lineman. Calvin McMillan from Prairie View A&M. The wide receivers are Jalen Jones from Alabama State and Josiah Rockwell from Prairie View A&M. And the tight end is Trevante Abner from Alabama A&M. On the defensive side, first teamers, Quincy Ivory from Jackson State, Kelby Gibbons from Southern, Warren Robinson from Grambling State, Bryce Cage from Grambling State, Demarion Edwards from Alcorn, Denarius Hilliard from Arkansas Pine Bluff are the linebackers, as well as Reed Pulliam. And the defensive backs are Trevor Randall from Prairie View A&M, Tayshawn Sims from Alabama State, Antoine Watts from Bethune-Cookman, and Marcus Linzer from Grambling State. The first team specialist, place kicker Daniel Porto from Florida A&M. Punter is Max Tulin from Bethune-Cookman. Return specialist Javon Ross from Bethune-Cookman. And the long snapper, interesting, long snapper out there, Cole Hash from Bethune-Cookman.
I got a question about SWAC first team with SWAC selections. Well, most conferences have gone to 3 wide receivers and 5 defensive backs. Interested that the SWAC still has a traditional 4-3 and 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Just an interesting take on those selections.
Yeah, I think that's a great point when you look at it that way from that perspective. Let's take our first break, come back on the other side. Let's get into mid-major talk specifically about what took place this past weekend. And let's name our mid-major HBCU champion. We'll do that formally by going through the poll rankings. I will say that we have a unanimous vote, first time since 2023 when Benedict Tigers, the first year getting it done in that matter. That being said, I should say their actual second year when they ran the table regular season. Let's take our first break and come back on the other side.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269 or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Today we have none other than Professor Bishop and Professor Drew. Let's get right into these rankings and tell you about the big game that was played last week. We did share that space on Sunday in terms of when we traditionally do our mid-major. We talked about that matchup that featured number 1 and number 2 in the NCAA playoffs. And with that being said, let's look at last week's ranking. As you just saw what it looked like last week. But the matchup of the week was a playoff game, NCAA Division II playoff game in Albany, Georgia, where Benedict traveled down for the third time this year, and they faced the Golden Rams. It remembers with Talladega a couple of years ago when they had a trifecta, when they were the second best team in the country, but that other team was also in their conference, so they were literally the second best team in the conference as well. Playing that team 3 or 4 times and just could not get over that hump, including the championship game, a national championship game. But in this case, it's Benedict Tigers, who each time were able to get a little closer, but could not get over the hump. And this was the last one for the year, as Benedict Tigers closed the season at 10-3, 7-1, while the Golden Rams continue to play, as they say, win in advance. They improved to 12-1, 8-0. Stellar record with 12 wins on a season, only 1 loss. That loss was on the road to a FCS program, Florida A&M, where they had the lead at half with a lot of interest there. But they win this matchup 14-12. Let me stop right here because none of the other teams played. Let me get some further thoughts in terms of this matchup. I'm going to start with you, Drew. As you were there, being able to have an eyewitness to this fantastic game, where Benedict Tigers defense did their part, but Achilles heel all year long was Benedict finding a way to get some offense. They did get in the end zone, make it close, but could not get over the hump in this matchup. So shout out to Albany State, where we hadn't had a lot of focus. They had to be solid all year long, but their defense got it done in this matchup as well.
Classic case of when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, Dr. Cavil. And Benedict was the epitome of it. Look, that defense played lights out. You could not have asked for a better performance from the guys on the defensive side of the ball. But when the defense does their job, it gives the offense the ball 2 times inside of your opponent's 40-yard line, and all you're able to muster is 6 points total out of it. It's not good. When your defense does not allow the other team to cross midfield for a quarter and a half, Dr. Cavil.
Wow.
And you're not able to take advantage of it. If Benedict has a quarterback, Benedict is probably still playing.
Wow.
And when they say styles make fights, Benedict has 3 losses on the year. You see the dash after the 10, Dr. Cavil. It's 3. All 3 of them are to the same team.
Yeah.
So when you say styles make fights, Albany State was the only team, not only in the SIAC, but in NCAA on their schedule, that was able to take advantage and expose the fact that Benedict's quarterback play was not where it needed to be a championship level. Benedict plays anybody else, they're probably still alive in the playoffs. Unfortunately, they had to play Albany State for the 3rd time.
That's a great point. Charles, where are you going with your analysis of this matchup?
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, just going forward, will Albany State see a defense better than Benedict going forward? I mean, even looking at the matchup this weekend, I mean, just the fact that Benedict gets after the quarterback the way they did, and then they sacked Isaiah Knowles 6 times. I was just curious as I started just kind of going through the stats. I'm like, wow, they've beaten Benedict 3 times this past season, but is there a defense or a defensive line that gets after the quarterback more than Benedict?
Defensive line, no.
Mm.
And should Albany State win, they probably won't see a defense at this level unless they until they get down into you guys' neck of the woods down there in Beaumont, Texas. Everybody. So and obviously, if you don't know, they actually re-rank the teams when they get to the Final Four, 1 through 4, based on who advances to those. So, but even still, I don't think they're going to be facing a defense this particularly good, especially the front 4. There may be some back 7s that may be comparable, but I don't think anybody has a front 4 Division II football as good as this Benedict team, including Albany State themselves. They have a great defense.
They got a great defense too, right?
But their front 4 is not what Benedict's front 4 is.
Amazing. Oh, boy, at least they got to take advantage of it. I hate that they couldn't win a championship, but they did a lot of things for school history in terms of getting this far in the playoffs and just had to have a team in their conference. That's the way. And sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, as they say.
And I think this is the first time that 2 SIAC teams have actually met at least that deep in the playoffs before.
Wow.
Yeah, great point. Let's get into the final rankings. We'll start with week 13. Again, this will be our final rankings in terms of no team dropped out. We will go over those receiving votes, all that stayed the same. Allen Yellow Jackets, Livingston Blue Bears, and Edward Water Tigers, all with 5-5 records. Conference-wise, and out of the SIAC, Yellow Jackets were 5-3. Livingston Blue Bear out of the CIAA were 3-4, and Edward Water Tigers finished 4-4 in the conference race. Let's get into the top 7. When we look at number 7, Virginia State Trojans finished at 6-4, 4-3, 145 points, 7 in the poll ranking. They've been there as things started, and they ended the season in the CIAA championship game. At number 6, you have Fayetteville State Broncos, 6-4, 6-1, 146 points, and remain 6. Remember, they had that classic matchup with Johnson C. Smith, and that ended their season with that tough loss. Credit to Johnson C. Smith getting over hump in terms of putting themselves in a position to play for a championship. And they did that essentially at that win over Fayetteville State. Had some business they had to do with the final weekend, but they took care of that as well. Let's get into number 5. At number 5, we have Kentucky State Thoroughbreds, 9-3, 7-1. One of the teams of this year, certainly one of the surprises of this year, 168 points. And enter at number 5, make it to the playoff out of the SIAC. Tremendous season, and credit goes to the Thoroughbreds as they are a top 7 team at number 5. At number 4, we have none other than the Virginia Union Panthers, 9-4, 7-0, 170 points, finished at number 4. You get the 9 wins, make it to the playoffs, and for them, in a lot of ways, this is a disappointment after winning a national championship last year, making it deep in terms of the regional finals and winning a CIAA championship. They did not get any of that done this year. Be interesting to see how they will move forward. Have a hot coach, Dr. Parker. Will anybody try to pick him off in terms of the FCS level with some of the vacancies out there? We do have one in Hampton. A lot of people see it as a good fit. We'll see if that is the case. Let's get into the top 3. We're going to stay in the CIAA with Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, 10-2, 6-1, 195 points. Magical season for them as they earn a CIAA championship, first one in multiple decades. getting over the hump, not only against Fayetteville State that I mentioned earlier, but getting it done against the big bully, Virginia Union Panthers. And in fact, they got a little payback because they lost to Virginia Union early in the season, but not to be unveiled. And they did it in fine fashion, running away in the CIAA championship. They get bid to the playoffs. They did lose in the first round, but they finished with 10 wins, 10-2, 6-1. Great season, nothing to hang your head up. They do have a championship to take home with them, but they finished at number 3. Bringing us to number 2. SIAC won the matchup against the CIAA in the regular season. It was a close one, 4-3, but they get it done in fine fashion, coming back with the last 2 matchups going to the SIAC. It was a precursor to see what kind of season the SIAC would have. Benedict Tigers 10-3. All 3 of their losses are to the number 1 ranked team. Just think about that. They get into the playoffs, win a round in the playoffs. Stellar defense. We told everybody, listen, they had a championship defense, and they proved that in the playoffs as they won a game and created a de facto national mid-major champion where it was played on the field. We haven't had that luxury since I've been doing the poll rankings. 196 points, 2 in the rankings. Bringing us to number 1. No one is surprised about this. The Albany State Golden Rams are still playing, so I will not say finish the season. They have 12 wins on the season, 12-1, 8-0. They have all 8 first place votes, 210 points. They are number 1. Give you a couple of things about this team in regards to what Ken Gray was able to do. Obviously, the defeat, Benedict Tigers on the season, getting it done there. And so this is the first championship for Albany State since 2010, when the legendary Coach Mike White had his 3rd championship in 8 years. And that goes back to 2003, where they won back-to-back in 2003, 2004. This was the 2nd year that I started doing the poll rankings that went back to 22. When Fayetteville State, that means 9 SIAC championships, 13 for the CIAA, just for those that are counting. We do have one with Langston out of Central Football League, the only other program that was able to get a championship since 2002. So credit to Quinn Gray, Albany State Golden Rams, all the fans out there as they continue to march through the playoffs. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the poll rankings?
Kudos to Quinn Gray and Albany State, but just looking at it, we got 4 CIAA teams, 3 SIAC teams in the top 5. Who had the better year from the CIAA and the SIAC?
SIAC still playing.
I think what's unique is I think the SIAC was probably top heavy, right? Especially when you think about 1 and 2, you get Rising Kentucky State. You probably had a little more parity in the CIAA, and it was a little deeper, which is what creates more teams in the top 7, particularly when you think about how Edward Waters failed late in the season. They were probably holding the head. You give credit to Allen, who almost snuck in there, but they started a little late, even though they got hot during the stretch. So I think that's kind of the lay of the land for me to tell of the tape when you look at it. But great question when you talk about that. And I think A.D. Drew made the magical point. SIAC is still playing.
Right.
And in fact, they had 2 teams still playing even last week, with them being the top 2 teams. So I think the SIAC, when you talk about 4-3, they were the best conference in multiple ways this year, although they only have 3 in the top 7. But think about this. They have 3 in the top 5.
Right. 3 in the top 5. Exactly.
A.D. Drew, what are your thoughts?
First of all, you mentioned Allen. I want to give a shout out to our number 8 team, Allen, who won their last 4 games consecutively. So shout out for that, like you said, getting into the conversation, because they were a team that we left for dead. My big, and I agree with this poll 100%. My toughest debate was what to do with 3, 4, and 5, Dr. Cavil.
Okay.
You had a Union team that did what they did in the regular season, but lost the last 2 games. You had a Kentucky State team that didn't make the SIAC championship game, but was the hottest team going into the playoffs, and the record proved it. They had won more consecutive games going to the playoffs than anybody else. And then, of course, you have Johnson C. Smith, who was the CIAA champion and avenged their loss earlier to Union. Then I started thinking about it. Of those 3 teams that lost in the first round of the playoffs, how much do I weigh that in? Because Johnson C, of the 3 teams that lost, probably played, not Johnson C, Virginia Union, of the 3 teams that lost, probably played the best game of the 3. So, Kentucky State looked like a horse in headlights. We'll use a horse in headlights instead of a deer in headlights. And Johnson C. Smith, a little bit of the same way. Union looked like they had been there and played like they had been there, just coming up a little bit here short. So that was what my toughest debate was. This is actually how I voted 1 through 5, Dr. Cavil, but it was kind of tough figuring out 3, 4, and 5 because 1 and 2 was, like I said, whoever won that game was going to get my vote.
Good stuff. Good breakdown and great insight in terms of the consternation you had about filling out your top 7, essentially top 10 in the rankings. With that being said, let's quickly stay here. Let's look at this matchup. Newberry Wolves, as we say officially, Albany State does win that HBCU national champion as we do our rankings. Newberry Wolves, 11-1, 8-1 at Albany State Golden Rams. Number 1 in the seed, 12-1, 8-0. So this game will be in Albany. What are your thoughts, Drew, in terms of this matchup?
On paper, Albany State may have a slight advantage. One advantage that they have is with their running game. This Newberry team gives up, I want to say about 180 yards per game. Well, if we know anything about Albany State, they will Tiant Weiss you to death.
Yeah.
So they have no problem running the ball, especially when they get up. They will take the air out the ball and still wind up putting 40 points on you. So that's one thing to look at when it comes to Albany State. But I want to talk about Reed Sharpia, the quarterback for Newberry. On the season, 279 of 401. That equates to 69.6% for all you math nerds out there.
It's almost 70%. Jeez.
How many fingers I got up on my hand?
5.
5. Albany State is hoping to pick up that interception, the number 5 interception. He's only thrown 4 all season long in 400 attempts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one. Think about that. That's 1 interception per 100 attempps. Where do you see that at? He's passed almost 3,400 yards with 28 touchdowns. He's averaging 282 yards per game. So the back 7 of the Dirty Blue defense is going to have back 7, back 8, back whatever of it is going to have fun in this particular game. Also have to look out for Quez Spells, running back from there. He's only averaging 32 yards a game, but they have a couple of backs there to keep me honest. Quez Spells along with Brunson, Kenmaine Brunson. You know, they have a couple of keeping honest backs there. So just a little bit soft. I'm gonna let Charles get into to a little bit of it. You know, you can talk about those receivers that they got out there, Charles. I want to leave a little meat on the bone for you, so I didn't want to get into the receivers and everything else, though.
No, the meat that I had was Reed Sharpia. I mean, I was just taking a look at him. You know, 28 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. But and that was my key looking at this game was, you know, can they get to Reed Sharpie. That's the big thing. And doing some research here, one of the things opposing coaches talked about with him is the fact that he gets the ball out of his hands so fast. That's why he does a tremendous job in terms of not allowing a defensive line or allowing a blitz to get to him. So that's one of the things that you take a look at. Tyrell Gainey, third in the SIAC in interceptions this season. He has 4 overall. Albany State is third in the SIAC in interceptions. So I think you touched on it. I mean, can the back half of that Albany State defense, can they hold up against what we know is going to be a team that's going to throw the football? They have good balance. You mentioned Quez Spells, but I think one of the big things is just, can you get Reed Sharpie on the ground? I think that's going to be huge. And like you said, you get your running game up and going. You're playing at home, correct?
Yes.
So I think that's huge, in terms of getting the home cooking and whatnot. So I think Albany State can get the W in this.
You talk about the sacks, Charles. Newberry has only allowed 16 sacks all season.
Only allowed 16 sacks on the season. Exactly.
Yeah, and part of that is just the fact that he gets rid of it so fast. So you might get some tackles for loss, but not necessarily sacks. The other thing is obviously everybody's back from Thanksgiving. Yeah, you getting into your Christmas break, but it does give a chance for a lot of folks to have that extra time to get out there. And they probably pick up some FAMU fans checking out Quinn Gray. That in the area that want to cheer him.
Let the man finish his season, Rattlers. Let him finish his season before y'all start tampering.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about more about cheering and supporting him, but you're right. That needs to be thrown in there because you got some folks that probably, if not careful, will be tampering for sure. With that, let's take our next break, come back on the other side, and there's another big game this weekend, and it is in the SWAC. We'll talk about that matchup on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's go ahead and get into this matchup. It is a top 7 matchup, top 4 particularly. I have it as number 2 versus number 4. Prairie View comes in as we get into this matchup. They will play on the road while they have both the same conference record, 7-1. You have Jackson coming in at 9-2, 9-3 in terms of that. Let's go to the next slide there. If you would, Drew, to kind of break down as we get in this championship matchup. Prairie View A&M Panthers, as you see, as I said, come in at 9-3, 7-1 at Jackson State that comes in at 9-2. I want to look at this a little bit. As you heard earlier, Prairie View brings on the freshman of the year along with the other players that were first and second team, a host of players. But he will be facing, if you would, the defensive player of the year as well as the newcomer player of the year in terms of this matchup. So fascinating when you talk about Ivory and Bignell in terms of what they bring to the table. But with that being said, I want to kind of do a blind test, if you would. You see there, as I use the Lab logo helmet and THG presenting sponsor helmet, if you would, of the show. Which side, I'm going to start with you, Charles. Which side do you see as Prairie View statistics versus which side do you see as Jackson State statistics? You can go left or right.
Ask the question again, and which side was?
Yeah, when you look at your blind resume test and you see the statistics there, which statistics belongs to Prairie View, which side belongs to Jackson State?
Oh yeah, I think definitely the passing statistics. The passing statistics belong to Prairie View, whereas the rushing statistics belong to Jackson State. I think
on the left is Prairie View, Jackson State.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, when
is Prairie View or Jackson State, which one are you saying?
Oh, I'm saying when I'm going down and I'm looking at the pass offense, I would think that the higher passing offense would definitely be Prairie View. I believe that would be on the right. Yeah, if I'm taking a look at it, I don't have my glasses on, so it's blurry to me right now.
My fault.
I thought I was close enough to it, but I'm like looking. I'm like, oh, okay. I think it's Prairie View over here to the right, and that's Jackson State to the left. So
I need to expand that a little bit.
It's there, but it ain't there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Help Charles out.
Yeah, I was like
playing hardball with him.
I was about to say the blind part of it. No, I'm almost.
So right and left, which one are you saying, Drew? Right side is
definitely Jackson State's on the left and Prairie View's on the right. But I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two.
That's what is intriguing about this. But actually, I transposed this. Actually, the statistics on the left are Prairie View, and the statistics on the right are Jackson State. Now, the next slide is going to flip it, and so you'll see the names. So I flipped it. It's actually left Prairie View, right Jackson. And you see I actually put in the number 1 rankings, which gets back to what you were saying, Charles, in terms of stats. Number 1 in terms of passing. Both offense and defense may be intriguing for some people. But when you look at rushing, you actually have number 1 in terms of offense and defense. And I only took the 8 conference games that they played. I thought that was important because you know what we do in non-conference, whether it's playing up, playing down, and sometimes that can skew stuff. It does tend to fall to the middle. But I thought we'd get even a better schematic in terms of that if we just looked at the 8. But you see 7-1 overall conference. Everybody knows that. 6 common opponents. Both were 5-1 in terms of the common opponents. With Prairie View's lost to Alabama State, Jackson State lost to Grambling, but 5-1 in terms of what they did there. Points scored are really close, 278 to 295. And even when the teams are not number 1 in their particular rankings, it's fascinating to me. They're like top 4 above, most of the time top 3, even when you transpose that. So these teams are playing really good football. Another one that's intriguing me is opponents' records is really close to 25-39 for Prairie View, 27-37 for Jackson State. Again, looked at those 8 conference games in terms of what they played in those matchups. So to tell the tape, some data out here for those that are data nerds. Obviously, by this time you can tell that these are really quality teams. So they're going to do what they do best. It's going to be interesting to see who can get to what they do best and which other team can stop a team maybe a little bit in terms of what they do best. And there's some ways where this is a collision test. What Jackson State does well is also in a lot of ways what Prairie View on the opposite side of the ball does well. So it'd be fascinating to see what that looks like in terms of being able to stop. With that being said, let's go back to the next graphic, where we just talk about the matchup. Charles, where are you in terms of this matchup? You had a little more time to think about it, looking through the data, looking at the numbers, whether that means a lot to you or not. Where are you in terms of what do you expect in this matchup coming up on Saturday?
I think I've said it pretty much all season with regards to Jackson State in terms of their keys to winning football games. They physically wear you down. And that's one of the things that I give credit to Alcorn in that last game. That was one of the only games that I've watched with Jackson State over the past 2 years where they didn't, by the fourth quarter, the defensive line wasn't physically worn down. And you can really kind of see Jackson State kind of break some big runs in the fourth quarter. So just from that standpoint, Jackson State's running game, if they get to my magic number for them is 200 yards, and you know the statistics kind of bear it out. When they rush for over 200 yards, they're pretty difficult to deal with. That being said, you know when Prairie View is throwing for over 200 yards, that they're doing a great job of winning those games as well. So I think it's one of those classic deals. Is testing Jackson State secondary, which if you're going to look at an Achilles heel with regards to the defense, it will probably be the secondary. And consequently, the Achilles heel, Prairie View, tremendous defense. But if I'm going to attack, Prairie View's defense, I got to attack the front four. I've got to get that running game up and going. You've got to get those linemen to the second level so they can get to those linebackers. Prairie View has some tremendous linebackers, but if they're taking care of business in terms of getting beyond those that front four and getting those guards on those linebackers coming downhill, Jackson State's real difficult to deal with in that regard.
Great analysis. AD Drew, what is your breakdown? What is your tell of the tape? What stands out to you in terms of the matchup between Jackson State and Prairie View?
What stands out to me, if we would have gone back to that, matter of fact, I will go back to the slides as I could push the buttons. When you go back to this slide, Dr. Cavil, and you look at these number one rankings between these two teams, what you find is that most of these stats, when one is not number one, the other one is top three.
Right, I agree.
The only team that's usually in between them, if they're not 1-2 and they're 1-3, is the other 10-win team in the SWAC, that being Alabama State.
Right.
So, and the other thing is the contrast where a team may be number one in this offensive stat, and then the opponent in this matchup is number one in the counter defensive stat to that, or top three. So we said it Sunday on our show, Brian and I both said, at least in the on-campus championship game era, this is definitely the best matchup on paper coming into the contest. Now, the game still has to be played on Saturday, but when you look at how evenly matched these two teams are offensively, defensively, special teams, etc., I do think Jackson State has one slight advantage if this game is close. That's going to be in their kicking game, and I mean their ability to kick a field goal. Jackson State has shown that the ability to go for Prairie View just does not go for field goals, which also kind of bids into Jackson State fourth down defense. Prairie View has had a little bit more of a tendency to go forward on fourth down, and Jackson State has had a good fourth down conversion defense. So let's pay attention when the ball gets into that too far to kick, too close to punt territory. Yeah, we all know what that is. That's between the 40 and the 25. And let's see how the game plays out in that area. Do they get those first downs on that fourth down, or does the ball get turned over on downs right there? Do we get 3s versus 7 when the ball gets inside the 25? Those are the type of things that are going to make a difference in a ball game like this, outside the obvious turnovers, penalties, etc., etc.
And I will say this, and I think within the last 5 years, Jackson State has gotten back to that being a true home field advantage. And I've talked about this often, Doc. When that synergy gets going between the crowd, the band, you feel that down there on the field, and that could be a huge factor, especially when you come down to the last 8 minutes of the football game in the fourth quarter, where the crowd is rocking, and if things are close, whatever the case might be. But I felt that energy down there on the field when I was working with Jackson State. That is a true something that gets up and going. It is very interesting as of today. It's a 60% chance of rain on Saturday. We'll see what that does to the attendance.
But it also can deal with the style of play as well. So while it may hurt you on one side, it could help you on the other side. But yeah, that weather with the rain, and not only that, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
So there's one thing about being wet, but there's another about being wet and cold. So I'm fascinated to see a lot of ways how that plays out, even though there's a lot of excitement for folks around this game. So interesting. When you look at the coaches, I think coaching is even. I mean, both of these teams have played for conference championships, played for national championships, played really well in that. Obviously, T.C. Taylor has a championship in terms of what he was able to do at the Cricket Celebration Bowl. But I also think Jackson, even in the conference, people forget that on the field, at least he won a championship at Texas Southern as assistant coach over there. So he's familiar with that framework caveat that championship was taken away from Texas Southern in terms of violations. But interesting when you look at that from that perspective in terms of the coaching side of this. Assistant coaches on both sides are deep, talented assistant coaches. Both teams have assistant coaches that if things play in their favor, could be in positions to be head coaches themselves. Very talented on both sides of the ball.
Great question, Emmett Jones. Yeah,
and I've got that.
I'm sitting here looking at it myself.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you take red zone offense. Jackson State second in the SWAC. Prairie View right there at third in the SWAC. Red zone defense. Jackson State number 1 in the SWAC. Prairie View right there in the top 5. Prairie View sitting there at number 4 in the SWAC in terms of red zone defense.
Yeah, I tried to look up all the stats I could see, and like if they weren't number 1, as Drew said, you said as well. Both of them are neck to neck in like 2, 3, no lower than 4 in just about all statistical categories across the board. So it'll be fascinating. It'll be interesting to see, does this game play out the way that it looks statistically on the field? And everybody's looking for an edge. Everybody's looking to see how to point it outside of your fandom. Obviously, if you're a Jackson State fan, you believing that the Tigers would get it done. If you're a Prairie View fan, you're believing the Panthers are right for this time. So interesting that. Take our last break. I want to come back and give A.D. Drew a chance to do a little bit of a monologue that he wants to provide. And so we'll do that before we call it a show. Let's take our last break bring it back for AD Drew to do a monologue. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than Charles Bishop as well as A.D. Drew. As we wanted to provide a platform to allow A.D. Drew to do a closing monologue. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Drew.
Zach, I agree with you. The more film that I watch, the more I dive into these stats. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this should be fun.
That's gonna be.
I don't know.
One of
other
those
than you just being a fandom, and obviously you want to continue to win. But if you're just a football person that loves opportunity to see good matchups, good games, obviously you want your team to win. But a lot of us focus on just seeing some good football at times. And Zach, I agree with you. The more you continue looking and you see the numbers and dive into it every day that you get into it, you be like, damn, this should be a damn shit game.
Yeah, which kind of takes me down the road that I want to go to close this out. The winner of this game goes on to Atlanta. And as good as this matchup is this upcoming Saturday, I think the matchup, no matter who wins this game on Saturday, will be just as good when these two teams get to Atlanta. So with that being said, if you have not purchased your tickets for the Cricket Celebration Bowl, our Super Bowl, you need to go ahead and get your tickets. And if you're going to be there, you might as well come to the Friday night event. We've got 6 institutions who will be in Atlanta representing their school. South Carolina State, whoever wins the game on Saturday, Florida A&M, Southern, Miles, and Fayetteville State. Support them. Show up. They need to see. Yes, it's important that we watch if we cannot show up. But if you're in Atlanta, Georgia area, anywhere in the state of Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, drive those couple hours and come on down to the A and put your butt in the seat so these people can see you. And they can not only can they see you, but they can feel your energy. That was number one. But my real point that I wanted to get into yesterday was the 60th anniversary, 70th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott. So those who do not forgot the sacrifice of those who led the bus boycott to give us some of the rights that we have today, please go back and restudy your history with Rosa Parks, Dr. King, Ralph David Abernathy, Fred Gray, and a lot of other people who were part of that movement. But today is National Day of Giving. So all you guys in the chat who would like to talk all this crap about your athletic program, shut up until you open up your wallet. Let's start off with this. There are two fine institutions that this panel works for. If you don't know where to send your money, Texas Southern can use your money. If you don't know where to send your money, a student at Morehouse can use your money. If you still got somebody left over with that, Dr. Cavil's alma mater, Prairie View A&M, could use your money. Charles Bishop's alma mater, Jackson State, can use your money. One of my alma maters, Florida A&M or Tuskegee, can use your money. I'm pretty sure most of us are not in the area where we went to college at. There's a HBCU in your region that can use your money. And I'm not talking about a whole lot of money, y'all. You don't have to go write checks with commas in it and all that kind of stuff. Those $5, $10 donations that you guys give add up. There's a couple hundred people on this live right now. If everybody on this live was to give $5 to your alma mater, $5 to the institution that is closest to you, and $5 to one of the schools that one of us are associated with, that's $15. That's not a whole lot. Charles, I could think of more stupider stuff that I spent $15 on than giving $5 and $5 to an institution. Would you agree, Dr. Cavil?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my monologue on today's Day of Giving, and every one of our institutions is doing their own campaign. Open up your wallet and do what you got to do. Cash App's it. And if you can't do it today, we understand it is the first of the month. Bills are due. Find time and put it in your budget to do it the next time that your pay cycle allows you to do it. I'm done.
Great monologue. Perfect place to close it. Good information and extremely important. Hopefully everybody adheres and understands the message. Do what you can when you can. Particularly is a great day when you talk about the Day of Giving. After Thanksgiving, in that matter. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Be on the road, have another HBCU lecture series we plan to do in Huntsville, Alabama at Alabama A&M. Bringing on two ADs. We'll have Dr. Paul Bryant, Director of Athletics at Alabama A&M University, and Dr. Mickey Allen at Tennessee State University. They have a basketball game scheduled for tomorrow night, so we'll take advantage of that and get those two ADs together. Talk a little bit about the program, HBCUs, AI, obviously transfer portal, NIL, and other things that are important in this area. So I wanted to give a little shout out and plug for that. So look forward to that. We do plan to stream it as well, so we'll get that information out to you as soon as we can. We'll be back Sunday morning. We'll be talking about a champion and who gets to go to face off against South Carolina State out of the MEAC representing the SWAC in next week's Cricket Celebration Bowl. That'll be fun as we talk about that. And we'll add a little talk for the marching sport. Keep your eyes on that as well. With that being said, we look forward to Thursday to give you your latest news of the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's on Threads, Facebook, Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Drew.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Travel light.